part 4 of Einstein's essay. Production is carried on for profit, not for use. There is no provision that all those able and willing to work will always be in the position to find employment. An army of unemployed almost always exists. The worker is constantly in fear of losing his job. Since unemployed and poorly paid workers do not provide a profitable market, the production of consumer goods is restricted. And great hardship is the consequence. Technological progress frequently results in more unemployment rather than an easing of the burden of work for all. The profit motive, in conjunction with competition amongst capitalists, is responsible for an instability in the accumulation and utilization of capital, which leads to increasingly severe depressions. Unlimited competition leads to a huge waste of labor and to that crippling of the social consciousness of individuals, which I mentioned before. This crippling of individuals I consider the worst evil of capitalism. Our whole educational system suffers from this evil. An exaggerated competitive attitude is inculcated into the student who is trained to worship acquisitive success as a preparation for his future career. Think about that for a moment. It's not about education, not about independent thinking. It's about accumulating or getting a job and nothing else. I'm convinced, Einstein continues, that there's only one way to eliminate these grave evils, namely through the establishment of a socialist economy accompanied by an educational system which would be orientated towards social goals. In such an economy, the means of production are owned by society itself and are utilized in a planned fashion. A planned economy, which adjusts production to the needs of the community, which would distribute the work to be done amongst all those able to work, and would guarantee a livelihood to every man, woman, and child. The education of the individual, in addition to promoting his own innate abilities, would attempt to develop in him a sense of responsibility for his fellow man in place of the glorification of power and success in our present society. Nevertheless, it is necessary to remember that a planned economy is not yet socialism. A planned economy as such may be accompanied by the complete enslavement of the individual. The achievement of socialism requires the solution of some extremely difficult socio-political problems. How is it possible, in the view of the far-reaching centralization of political and economic power, to prevent bureaucracy from becoming an all-powerful and all-overweening entity? How can the rights of the individual be protected, and therewith a democratic counterweight to the power of the bureaucracy to be assured? Clarity about the aims and problems of socialism is of the greatest significance in our age of transition. Since, under present circumstances, free and unhindered discussion of these problems has come under a very powerful taboo, I consider the foundation of this magazine, which Einstein wrote for, to be an important public service. This is from the man who gave you E equals mc squared. And an undisputable theory, in my view. And so think about that for a little while. And, since the entire word socialism has been demonized for so long in this country and many others, it may it may be of some use for you to think as Einstein as the ultimate dissident, and why he will be vilified in the future, because that is also about to come about, as we can see, the pushback on the religious right and so on, Here you have an eminent thinker who didn't just think about science per se, but how science is being used or utilized by society, to what ends, and so on. So, something to think about. I don't know, it's written in hindsight. I realize that, it's from 1949. And, Einstein was, a nuclear physicist, and he did partake in the development of the nuclear bomb, basically. But I've known other scientists who felt very ambivalent or very sorry about that because of how their discoveries had been misused by the upper echelons in power. And that, of course, is always, the double-edged sword in science. That any kind of discovery can be completely misused. And I don't know, I just wanted to leave you with that thought tonight. Think about it, and especially in light of these ridiculous elections coming up in 2012, which it's just a farce. And most of us know this by now, and so I think we should delve a little bit deeper into the whole philosophical issues at hand. Because it ultimately is about a quest for power. And we humans, unfortunately, are pretty much hardwired for this. So I'm not sure, if I have any answers, but there's got to be some pushback towards complete idiocy. And Einstein wasn't an idiot. Like many other human beings, he's made mistakes. He's not some holy saint or anything. So, there shouldn't be any hero worship here. He probably wouldn't like that either, at all, if he was alive today. So some humility is probably in order. On the other hand, there is so much idiocy in this country going on today. It is just, we've basically intellectually have already moved back pretty close to the Stone Age, with people proclaiming that the planet is only 6,000 years old. Okay? I mean, and there's a large amounts of people who believe this. So, I guess, in some ways, ignorance can be bliss, because you don't have to think about bigger problems at all then. You can just tuck everything away and say, well, look, that's just the way it is. Well, unfortunately, that's not the way it is. And anyway, I'll leave you to your own thoughts, because I'm not trying to put any propaganda out here at all. It's not in my nature. Sorry. Good night.